of Russian folk tale The Porridge from an Axe and the American folk tale The Stone Soup. Next, please. The objects of my research are American and Russian folk tales, and the subjects of my research are similarities and differences between Russian and American folk tales. The main objective of my research is to study a fairy tale, its classification, and to compare some similarities and differences in Russian and American national fairy tales. The hypothesis of the research: if we compare Russian and American tales, we'll find out that they have some similarities. Based on the purpose and the hypothesis of the research, the following points were tasked. First, to make sure what are the tales, their classification, and second, to compare Russian folk tale The Porridge from an Axe and American folk tale The Stone Soup. Theoretical and practical importance of this paper is the possibility of using the materials of our research in English and literature lessons in the study of cross-cultural material. During the research, we used some literature and internet resources on our theme. Okay, let's begin. There are thousands of tales on our planet. There are different themes, heroes, actions, and different fables. Tales appeared very long ago. Nobody knows which tale was the first. People just love reading them. But sometimes you open a book with Italian folk tales, for example, and see that you have already read each story, but in your own language. There were other heroes, time in the story you have read, but the theme was similar. We interested in this point and decided to do a research. A fairy tale is a type of short story that typically features European folkloric fantasy characters such as fairies, goblins, elves, dwarves, or mermaids. They usually have magic or enchantments. Fairy tales may be distinguished from other folk narratives such as legends and explicitly moral tales, including best newspapers. Originally, stories that we would now call fairy tales were not marked out as separate genre. Together with a common beginning once upon a time, it means a fairy tale was originally a little story from a long time ago, when the world was still magic. Roots of the genre come from different oral stories passed down in European cultures. The genre was first marked out by writers of the Renaissance, such as Giovanni Francesco Starpoli and Giambattista Pezzara, and stabilized through the works of later collectors such as Brothers Grimm. Before the definition of the genre fantasy, many works that would now be classified as fantasy were termed fairy tales, including Tolkien's Hobbit, George Orwell's Animal Farm, and Frank Bones' The Wizard of Oz. Fairy tales are classified as authors and folk. We are interested just in folk fairy tales. According to Wikipedia, the most popular classification in American literature is the Arnold Thompson Tale Type Index. According to that classification, we can see these kinds of tales: animal tales, fairy tales, religious tales, novels, and tales of stupid ogre. According to Russian classification of Mr. Prop, they are divided into folk tale, fairy tale, realistic tale, and cumulative tale. Nobody knows exactly how the fairy tales appeared. There are a lot of different points of view how they were born. In general, it may be said that first, the plot of each similar fable was born in one country and other fables with a similar plot are just borrowings. Fairy tales are the result of related people common heritage, but they can't explain similar tales in not related people. Tales are the result of different countries' folk art that developed in similar living conditions. The USA and Russia have some similar tales. For example, Kolobok and the Gingerbread Man, Geese and Swans and the Golden in the Oven, The Porridge from an Axe, and The Stone Soup. They usually have similar heroes, their actions, and they have similar plot. The folk tales heroes are usually humans or animals. They get into trouble or have a crisis situation, and they try to get out of the situation. Sometimes miracle helps them. This plot is generally for fairy tales, animal tales, or novels. Speaking of fairy tales of different nations with similar subjects, it should be noted that tales were formed among some people and then moved to other countries, but they are folk traditions adapted to local customs. Speaking of fairy tales of different nations with similar subjects, it should be noted that tales were... There are similar stories that arise independently in different countries in the generality of life, psychology, law and social conditions, historical development of people. A soldier is a person which you can see in many folk tales of different countries, such as Russia, America, France, Germany, Italy, etc. Especially this character was popular during the war and after the war. We decided to compare two folk tales, the porridge from an axe and the stone soup, to make sure that they have some similarities and perhaps some differences. The beginning of both tales is just the same. Once upon a time, one soldier was coming back from the war. The culmination. The soldiers cooked tasty dishes using unusual ingredients. The epilogue. The soldiers are full and took the main ingredient with themselves. As we will see, both main heroes of the tales were hungry, and people they met on their way didn't want to share any food. The soldiers cooked the delicious dish from unthinkable things, asking for the real products. Every man got the products with the same cunning trick. They said that they were going to cook the dish from the worthy things, but after the water was boiled, they had tried the dish and said that it could be much better if some ingredients would be added there. People gave them products and soldiers cooked the delicious dish, but not from the things they said that were going to, but from real ingredients. Both soldiers have saved the things that they were going to cook the dish from. Everybody was impressed by tasty and cheap soup and porridge. Based on the identified similar features, can be concluded that fairy tales were written in different countries with different cultural heritage, but nevertheless they have a lot in common. We now move to the differences between the Russian and American folk tales. In American tale, we don't know what the person was at first. A simple traveler pointed several times in the very beginning. But we cleared out the historical reference of this one. Russian soldier asked an old woman to feed him, but the American soldier was met by the whole village, and many people gave him ingredients. Russian soldier decided to cook porridge, while the American soldier decided to cook soup. The main ingredient in Russian tale is an axe, but in American one is a stone. The Russian man asked for oats, butter and salt, but the American soldier asked for vegetables and the salt beef. The Russian old woman didn't ask for a receipt of the porridge. She understood that the soldier outsmarted her, although the American village asked to sell the magic stone. All this allows us to conclude that fairy tales were written in different countries with different cultural heritage, but they have a lot in common, which makes it possible to confirm the hypothesis. The Russian tale, the porridge from next, and the American tale, the stone soup, have a lot of similarities and some differences. By comparing these two stories, we can see that despite the fact that they are composed in different countries and in different traditions, they are slightly similar. But while they have differences which confirm the conclusion of the tale, they can dwarf from one country to another country. It can affect local traditions, folklore, and the people themselves. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to ask questions.